can't handle it. You can't handle it. It's yourself. Don't wait for them to hold the candle. Times it's your thing. It's your thing. To be the token. Meant to be broken. Ooh, yeah. Nothing is funky. Raise the roof to your desire. Ain't nothing is funky. You got to take yourself higher. Don't need another minute for you to do your thing. There ain't nothing this funky. There ain't nobody ready for the stuff you bring.
Hello, welcome to Amari Music Talk. I'm Richard Cole, the Amari in Amari Communications, and today I'm going to talk about Diamonds and Pearls. Yes, going to talk about Diamonds and Pearls again. By now, hopefully everyone's listened to it. Hopefully everyone was able to get their box sets finally. I know there was a delay on mine a little bit by like a few days. I know I've done a couple of episodes where was getting comments that, you know, here it is like a week, 2 weeks later, folks still didn't get their set yet, but hopefully everyone has it. I know there's been a lot of buzz. In fact, this is the box set that's been so great, even Questlove had to jump on board and talk about it. I don't know. I mean, he gets a lot of flack for, you know, just being an 80s, you know, Prince era fan, but, you know, everything is subjective. You know, what I like, you might not like, vice versa. It's all good. It's still the same person. And you don't get from point A, or you don't get to point B without having to go through point A first. You know, it's like, there is a video I'm going to work on titled, What If Purple Rain Flopped? You know, because I think, you know, kind of forget that. And of course, you know, we're linear thinkers, you know. Those that aren't into string theory or quantum mechanics or the multiverse, you know, we're conditioned to be linear thinkers. And it's this thing that once something becomes part of your personal perception, then at the time that, you know, this became great for you, that's cool. That's all right. But everything has an origin story. And, you know, and I mean, he's evolved. You know, I mean, obviously, really, if he was still with us, there'd be no box sets. You know, it would be like, no, this is my new album and you're going to deal with it. You know, that's what it is, and that's cool. But, you know, even he recognizes that, hey, you know, none of this would have been possible had it not been for that journey. You know, so all of that aside, this is about the Diamonds and Pearls box set. Now that I've lived with it for, where we at, about a month, almost a month now, man, you know, I have to say that you've heard my thoughts on the remaster of the original album. You know, you've seen that video. The live at Glam Slam, at that point when I did that video, there was only the audio. I hadn't received my box set yet. In fact, it wasn't even released yet. They had leaked that early. And I was blown away with just the audio. But, you know, we're going to cover everything, original album, vault tracks, everything about it. And like I said, living with it, I don't know. You know, I know I hear a lot of criticism. I don't know, maybe not necessarily me personally, but, you know, there are people that talk about how like, hey, this wasn't my favorite album and this and that, kind of like taking these little pot shots at it. But, like I said, for me, there was a lot of different factors. It wasn't like I heard this album and went, oh, this album is terrible. Like I said, I knew early on that you'll never get the same album from him twice. That's number one. Number two, you're talking 1991. There was a lot of changes that I was going through. Right as this album, like right when Get Off was released to the release of the album, and me living with that album in the months since, I had gone through some really weird changes. I mean, most paramount, or I guess what caused the ripple effect of that was, not living in California anymore. I came back in May of '91. So I don't even know. Yeah, so Get Off wasn't even released yet. I knew there was an album called Diamonds and Pearls coming out, because this was off the heels of Graffiti Bridge. I used to every night, had just started getting into, what is it, Controversy magazine, that fanzine, and I think it was in that one that they had the scoop, maybe not the scoop, but there was a piece in there that, oh yeah, Prince's next album is going to be titled Diamonds and Pearls. And then I also read the 1990 Rolling Stone interview. And so, I knew it was coming, but like I said, between 1990, where I was living in California, to May of '91, where I was no longer living in California, and I won't get into all the details as far as what brought me back and what happened afterwards, but, it definitely was probably not my normal Prince listening experience at that time. But I think despite all of that, because I don't know, right around that time, it was cool. Like I said, I won't get into the details about it, but things in life were pretty good point. So it was cool to see Prince on that Special Olympics, watching that in real time. And then I think right around that time, let's see, Get Off was out. So you fast forward a couple of more months, and then you have Prince and New Power Generation on the Arsenio Hall show. And that was exciting. It was like, oh, that was probably one of the best things I had seen at that point. And that was good hype for the album, because, he played Cream, he played Daddy Pop on it. Special Olympics, you heard Diamonds and Pearls, so that was like, and then you had Get Off, so it was like, okay, so that's 4 songs, so it's like, okay, this might be something to check out. So when I got the album, like I said, I enjoyed it. I mean, I've always played it beginning to end. I mean, like I said, I won't get into what, I think what took me out of it. I really wasn't that put off by like the hip hop aspect of it, because I looked at it as like, okay, yeah, Prince is on that kind of on that bandwagon a little bit, but I knew because it was Prince, it wasn't like, it wasn't like he was going to be Prince Paul up there, or like the Bomb Squad, the Shockleys, it wasn't like he was going to just all of a sudden. Although Get Off was probably the closest to that, but I just never, because it's like it's Prince, and Prince is still going to do things his way, so that's why I never looked at it like, okay, Tony M's trying to be Rakim or whatever. Yeah, Chuck D was the influence, but like I said, it didn't bother me as much. And like I said, this was commercial. That was kind of cool. Like, okay, he's competing. He's like, yeah, I can be commercial. Now, why? It's like everybody else having these big major hits. Whether it's Michael Jackson, Madonna. Here's Prince. Like, hey, hold my beer. It's like, hey, here I come with some commercial stuff. And it worked. it did work. But like I said, I think a lot of it had to do with being taken out of how I normally experience the Prince album from the very beginning. This is a new, it's a new phase of adulthood. It's changes. It's like coming back to a place didn't want to come back to originally, but but like I said, here was this album that was kind of in a way comfort, but at the same time, it was like, I think maybe what would have helped more if it was Prince going way left field, doing something totally unexpected. I guess being commercial for him was totally unexpected, but I need something deeper, something more, avant-garde. I don't know, what was needed for that. But like I said, it did work as an album for me. But all of that aside, is like I said, these. I'm going to do with all these posters. What I'm going to do with all the. I don't know about, how do you deal with these slip sheets here? Because there's no like insert that you could put them in. It's like, where can I keep this with the packaging? Right now, I've just got it with the poster inside. So we'll set that there for the moment. Alright, so as far as the original album, now that I get to hear it on CD, I like it. I don't think there was too much of a problem with the original CD of it, the original master of it. But I do enjoy the remaster. It sounds good on what I have to play it on, which is nothing spectacular, but it's a very nice little system. It's a Sony that actually replaced the boombox that I was listening to stuff on. But yeah, I mean, I like the remaster. It has the range. There's certain nuances. You've heard me speak about things like, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this too. Jughead being like, wow, we like this song now. But again, if you haven't heard my criticism on it before, yeah, that track is groovy and as funky as all get out. I think what works against it, you have a rapper that is so influenced by Chuck D that he's doing dance lyrics, where I think maybe if it had like more of a harder edge to the lyrics, like if he was really trying to channel Chuck D, then I think it might have worked better. Like, I mean, I can, now that I think about it, that could have easily have been maybe a precursor to, Rakim's Know the Ledge. If you had those type of heavy lyrics on top of that groove, I think that would have worked better. It would have been a harder statement, or it would have been a statement, period. I think that would have worked. But, I think for that particular theme for the song, I think if you went with, like I said, if you had like maybe channel Shock G or Humpty Hump, excuse me, if you would channel them, then I think that song would have worked better. But now with the remaster, you hear just how funky that band was with that. So we kind of now, I guess we're overlooking the lyrical content and the groove, and especially with the live version of it. Man. Whew, that was heavy. But yeah, like I said, I think what I like about it is just the range. There's not a lot of extra nuances that really jump out with the original remaster for me. But I will say that I enjoy the remaster more than the original album. So when I go to play it, then that's what I'm gonna, that's what I'm gonna go for, is the remaster of it. Now we get to the vault tracks, and you know, I don't know. There's a lot of love for the vault tracks. There's a lot of detractors. They're talking about the New Jack Swing, and it's dated, or it wasn't him. I know my personal theory is that I think that the New Jack Swing came so easily for him to emulate that that's why a lot of that stuff went into the vault. Now there's a lot of the vault tracks, whether it's Alice Through the Looking Glass or oh shoot, let me think. I'm drawing a blank. Let me take a look here. But yeah, things like Alice Through the Looking Glass. Skip to My You. Those type of tracks. I could see, somebody like maybe like Belle Biv DeVoe putting a spin on that. And where those things would have been like major hits for them, or I was watching a video. If anybody remembers that group Today, with that, is it him or me? Him or me? Do you want him or me? That track. I could see them doing some of this stuff. Like I could see Prince giving them some of this material, and it would have worked. It would have worked well. And then again, maybe some of this stuff was on deck, and maybe he has some inside information on what Michael was doing. Because you forget, Dangerous came out like what, the month after Diamonds and Pearls, and it's like, oh well, he's going New Jack Swing. Oh, he's got Teddy Riley producing some tracks. Yeah, let me go in another direction with it. So I think some of those songs, maybe development stopped at a certain point. So we don't know. We don't know the inside track of why this didn't happen or that didn't happen. But overall, I enjoy the vault tracks. It's a new dimension. Like I said, the selling point for me was that there were a lot of these that I haven't heard. Now there's a lot of 80s stuff. Still, a lot of 80s stuff I hadn't heard either. But I think the ratio on that was more, maybe not even 60-40, maybe 70-30. That 70 being the stuff that I've heard, 30% of what I didn't hear. Here it's kind of the flip, like maybe 80 to 90% of these vault tracks I have never heard before. And I knew that even though, like I said, I wasn't too excited about the original album, like I said, I was looking forward to hearing the remaster. But I knew it was going to be the vault tracks that were the selling point for me, and I definitely enjoy those. It's nice to have that full original, clean mix of Schoolyard, the stuff that I've done reviews on. Go on YouTube, check those out. Whether it's the early take of Insatiable, like I said, we talked about, Alice Through the Looking Glass. Darkness, that just rocks. But what I think the vault tracks, in addition to even the original album, just how powerful this band, the New Power Generation, that configuration of that band, just how funky they were. And I mean, not just with funk, but every note that they played, whether they went in a jazz direction or whether they went in a rock direction, something how tight of how Money Don't Matter Tonight, just how heavy, just how tight it's locked. There's a chemistry there. It works. I think this band and even subsequent lineups of the NPG, but this configuration, New Power Generation, I think this band could have gone toe to toe. This would, in an alternate universe, this is what I want to see. The Time, still in their opening position, but still hungry. Still got some got a few more albums under their belt. That band and the New Power Generation duking it out night after night. That's the universe I want to go to. That's the show I want to see. I think that this band could have gone toe to toe with The Time, and I mean, depending on what night, it could have gone either way. It wouldn't have been, as much as I love The Time, they're my favorite band, period. But I think going against the New Power Generation, I think they, man, whew, that would have been some competition, folks. That definitely would have been some competition. Probably the main thing I really want to talk about on this, like I said, because I've covered a lot of the vault tracks in previous videos, the remaster of the original album, but haven't had a chance to check out or talk about the actual live video of it. The live at the Glam Slam 92. I'm glad that they didn't go for, like the obvious, major tour, with, okay, yeah, it's promoting this album, but you got to insert the greatest hits. I mean, now, depending, there is some material, like I said, if you check out my video about how to make the perfect Purple Rain box set and the video versus audio live material to include with that, like I said, to me this is great. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with having a legendary concert, whether it includes the greatest hits or not. There's nothing wrong with having something like that as part of a box set, or even a standalone release. But I'm glad that they made the decision to take something like a Live at the Glam Slam. It's a smaller venue. It's historic because that was the club that he owned at the time, and he's airing out new material for the tour. So he's playing, it's really just the album. And there's also new stuff that would eventually end up on the next album that you get that, and no hits, no greatest hits, retrospective, no little medley of here I am with the hits, So it was great to have that. And really, to me, when you have those, like I said, big stadiums, yeah, he's great. But what we as Prince fans gravitate towards as well, or just as much, is these small venues where it's like anything goes. Whether it's a dress rehearsal for a tour, or it's like, okay, well, I've done the hits. I just want to kind of go to this little small club and just unwind, and we just play just off the top of the dome. And the energy, again, that energy of that band. And you heard me say on previous videos that, it's sad that, Rosie Gaines' tenure in that band was so short. It was just limited to that album and that tour. I wish she would have gone on, a couple of more, 2 or 3 more albums, or, I wish she would have been able to bring her back even more. I mean, we got some stuff like Jam of the Year. I think I Rocked Therefore I Am. I think she's on that. A couple of other things, but or I wish that the album that he produced on, I wish that would have seen the light of day. So, like I said, it was just so much power. It's in the name. That was the New Power Generation. I get the name. I never really cared for the name. You know, it was like it was cool as the song. And even then, the song, even though it was originally done in 1982 and it was intended for the time and it was called Bold Generation, and I enjoyed that vault track from the 1999 Super Deluxe. Um, to me, like I said, as funky as it is, and as much as I do enjoy the track, I do like the kind of the remix version of that better. But I always felt like, okay, you just trying to, you know, he's cashing in on Rhythm Nation. You know, it's like he's competing with Rhythm Nation, which I get. But I was never too keen on, you know, because of that fact. And like, oh, that's the name of the band. It's like, man, can you just have a band with no name? You know, but now I get it. I mean, you know, later, like with MPG, you just get, it grows on you. It's cool. But I think now that I get it, because that band was powerful. That band was powerful. Like I said, in another universe, the time, Prince and the Power Generation, that's a battle for the ages. Night after night. You know, doesn't matter what city you would be in, it could go either way. It could go either way. So yeah, like I said, that was a Sacrifice of Victor, Church. The live version of Nothing Compares to You, I like that version better than the one that was released on the Hits B-sides. To me, that was cool when it came out. I liked it. I knew it was like, okay, he's taking this song back from Sinead O'Connor. I get it, you know. And I liked it, you know, and even the video, I liked the video. But I don't know, it kind of wore on me after a while. Like, it's like either let me go back to the family version, or now, you know, the original Prince vocal. Let me just go to that. But this version on the Blu-ray, the Live at Glam Slam, that version of Nothing Compares to You, that to me now, that is the definitive version of that. You know, I think Rosie sells it more on this one. Not that she, you know, she was ever slacking. No, that's not the case. Like I said, I did enjoy it, but I think after, I don't know if it's because radio might have played it too much, or I think Video Soul may have played it too much, or something about it. But this is the version that I like the most out of the two. Those are the ones that I like the most. From there, we've got the book, and I enjoy them, you know. Just kind of lost my train of thought there for a second, but now I was thinking about something else. But the book, to me, I enjoy the book. It's, you know, I think what I love about the box sets of the books, I never really get time to sit down and read them. This one I did read. I read Chuck D's essay, and I read D'Angelo Duff's essay. Kind of read a little bit about, not sure if it's Dwayne Tuhal that wrote this or whatever. Like I said, I need to make some time to do a deeper dive. All the box sets that I've owned, whether Sign of the Times, 1999, some of the Beatles stuff here, I got to sit down and make time and actually read all of the books cover to cover. But I love the photos from that era. Like I said, I love the essays that I've read so far. So it's a great, you know, it's a great book. Really very well put together. And the photographs, I think, yeah, Randy St. Nicholas to me is one of my favorite photographers for Prince. It's hard to do a ranking because I think all of them are amazing. You know, Steve Park, and, you know, this is a great book. You know, shout out to Afshin Shahidi for this one. Like I said, I mentioned Steve Park, and then there's you know, Alan. Let's see, I always butcher the name, so correct me in the comments. Alan Beaulieu. So, in fact, that was the earliest one because that had, like, you know, controversy, 1999 era. But yeah, I don't think Prince has ever taken a bad photograph. So, but being a photographer, like I said, all of those photographers have been very influential. Like, I love you know, each one has their own sense of composition, their own style, and everything, and they managed to capture the best decisive moments. You know, even the portraiture. You know, a lot of unique situations, whether it was natural light, whether, you know, they staged the lighting for it. Like I said, good decisive moments. You know, whether it's a moment, whether in a studio or on the street, or even in concert, you know, or backstage. You know, good decisive moments. Those moments that, you know, you were right there, you were on it. You know, even if it took you several frames to get it, in some cases. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm glad that this particular era is getting some shine. Like I said, you know, I'm not going to fall into the cliche that it wasn't a favorite. Like I said, I have a lot of good memories. Like I said, it did kind of help me coast through that 1991 through 1992. You know, it did help me kind of coast along because that was a staple in the ride, you know, going back and forth to work or just being out and about. You know, that was in heavy rotation for it. But yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's favorite era is going to get their shine at some point. You know, I think next year, obviously 40th anniversary of Purple Rain, you can't ignore it, you can't run from it. You know, but like I said, if it wasn't for the success of both that movie and that album, then the doors for him to be able to do would have been closed, or you would have experienced it differently. It would have hit you differently because, you know, that multi-million-dollar freedom, you know, like I said, if it flopped, like I said, we'll get into that. We'll get into that video down the road. But what I was thinking about, since I do so many darn shows, that this is actually, I say Amari Music Talk at the beginning, this is the Purple Notes Unveiled podcast, folks. So sorry about it. It's been a long, I mean literally a long week. Man, I've been put through the paces at work. Most of the videos that I've been working on, been dealing with technical glitches in the editing, so a lot of it took a lot longer to get to. Some of it I've had to do without the graphics that pop up here and there, limited to none in some cases. But it's been a week. Actually, it's supposed to be working on some music. Supposed to be working on some comic books, but I'm going to tighten up the ship. Got the holidays coming up, so I'm going to get ready to tighten up the ship, finish out this year strong. Hope you enjoyed this episode. This episode was for excuse me, this episode was for those that only had a chance to listen to Purple Notes Unveiled and don't really know my thoughts on this album. Like I said, if you've seen the YouTube versions or the Patreon versions, definitely thank you for checking this show out. Excuse me again. But thank you so much. Even checking out Funky Poetic Bootlegs. That has been a labor of love. I know it's not, you know, the most commercial stuff that's out there, but, you know, hey, you know, you do your own thing. You know, do what makes you feel at your best. You know, what makes you feel great. but definitely, keep streaming it. That helps a lot. Um, Also, become a Patreon supporter. That helps. Like, subscribe, hit the notification on YouTube. There's also merchandise. We have Purple Notes Unveiled t-shirts. We've got the Amari Music Talk Create Your Day, Create Your Life t-shirts. Um, we also have things like Recast T'Challa, Black Panther. We need to get that, representation back. You know, um, check out my video on the 5 reasons why that matters. That is part of the Comics Box podcast, so definitely check that out as well. Um, like I said, everything that you do helps. The likes, the subscribe, um, streaming, you know. But, the dollars do help too. Can upgrade some of this equipment, better quality for the shows, um, and, the possibility to, get enough followers and likes and get in there to where, hey, I can do this all day, every day. But yeah, definitely, buy some merchandise. That's on richardcolemusic.com is where you can get that, or become a Patreon supporter. There'll be free merchandise included with some of the tiers on that. So look and see what tier suits you best and get free stuff. But the t-shirts, they're designed by me. There's also coffee mugs available. Those graphics are designed by me. So, like I say, we got the holiday gift season coming up, so those make great stocking stuffers. And again, everything helps the channel. So buying merchandise, becoming a supporter on Patreon, like, subscribe, notification bell, stream the tracks, listen to Purple Notes Unveiled on your favorite podcast platform, and that will be my Christmas present, So you don't have to get me anything. Just do one of those things, and that's my present, and I'll be happy. But I'm grateful for each and every one of you, for whether you're watching the shows or you're listening to the music. There's more music coming. So just like I said, just want to keep extending that thanks. And until next episode, create your day, create your life. Peace.